We got about 5 minutes left till meetings begins. 5 minutes left.
Is this one on? About 2 minutes, everyone. Okay, you tricked me. It says 36 seconds left. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our June meeting of the Guild. Nice to see everybody. Got a nice warm day for us out there. Sun shining, and it's nice to see everybody here, so thank you all for coming. I wanted to just say a big welcome to those of you that are watching online, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. Glad to have you here. Do we have any first-time visitors here tonight? All right, great to have you. Thank you so much. Do we have any new members? Awesome, that's even better. Great. Welcome to the Guild. I would say that, I think we say this every time, but we're always looking to get more members here. Obviously, to learn from each other and collaborate. It's nice to have different people. One of the great ideas that was suggested to me today is one of our members carries Guild business cards around. So whenever you talk about it, maybe you can hand that out. That's a good idea, I think. So if you meet people that are into woodworking, tell them about the Guild. We'd love to have them down here. Right now is our business meeting as usual. Most of you all know that, but if you don't, we usually handle business meeting first. And you all know me, I like to whip through that pretty fast. Then we'll do show and tell, and then we'll have a break and have a program. So that's our format tonight, just like almost every week, every month. Going down through the officers' reports, I don't have anything special to report except it's great to be here. Ron Hall, do you have anything special? Do you have anything tonight to announce? Nothing tonight. David, do you got something? Come on up.
Wish I could feel the power in that one, man.
Let me remind everyone, if you're on the mic, bring it up to your mouth.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Calvin. I appreciate that. Real quick, if you have some computer skills, you're good with computers or programming or photographs onto a computer, we're looking for help for a newsletter editor. Mr. Ron Hall, our vice president. I said vice president, okay. He's actually doing a newsletter as well, so he's doing two responsibilities. So we need someone to help him out. Anyone who's younger here and can really do it quick and fast, Ron will help train you, okay, for the newsletter. But he's been doing it for a long time, almost 10 years. So we need a little bit new blood. You guys have a better, energetic way of doing things instead of us. You're still young. Us older people, right?
Maybe
so, and Duran's not old. I'm not saying he's old. He's about
maybe
my
if
age.
you just graduated from college doing communications.
Yes, sir. Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's an awesome idea. See, that's why he's president. But anyway, if anyone thinks about it, if you'd like to help out or volunteer or just assist, be an assistant, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you, Calvin.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and Ron, you do a great job with the newsletter, and I know you have some help sometimes, but thank you again for a great newsletter. We appreciate it. So John Steyer, is John here tonight? I don't think I've seen John. John is our treasurer. I know that we are paying our bills. We have money in the bank, so that's a good thing. We'll stay there and get more members. We'll do even better. But things are going well financially. Craig, as member at large, anything special to report? Okay. Chuck, any announcements from assets tonight? Oh, yes. Forgive me for not bringing it up earlier. So the field turf boxes, we've been doing the box. That's been a project that the Guild has been doing to offset our costs here. We have volunteers that do it, led by Chuck. We've been doing this for at least 10 years, made many, many hundreds of boxes, and we need help. And I know you all see the emails that come out. We're having turf box building campaigns all the time. So come on down. You may learn something. You may be able to just help. You may enjoy yourself. If you've got the availability, come on down and help with the boxes. We could really use it. So communications, I don't think Brian is here, so we'll skip over that. And the newsletter, we already talked about it. Please, if you think you can add to the newsletter with whether it's graphic design or copy editing or any of that, we could really use your help on that. Librarian Don, I'm assuming you have magazines and books for sale? So if you didn't hear that, 25 cents a piece for magazines or 5 for $1. Great deal. Amazing content over there. Lots of, you could put a few of them, behind your toilet when think of the things you could learn while you're use that time wisely. And books for $1. Books for $1? No books today. All right, but magazines are the best. So as far as social media, remember to check us out on Facebook. We have a guild page, and then we have a guild group page. And people are usually asking questions about, I think there was one on there recently that said, where could I go to check out a lathe? And I think someone answered that. So it's kind of nice the community gets out there, but check that out. It's out there for everyone to use and participate. We also have an Instagram page, so if you're building stuff and you're posting on Instagram, tag the guild. It's nice to get engagement out there with the larger community. And then obviously we have our YouTube channel, and we're up to almost 450 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, go to YouTube and check out our page. Lots of great videos. There's our skill builder videos are on our channel. There are our monthly meetings are on there. Lots of content from the old podcast. So lots of good stuff. I guarantee you there's something you would get out of it if you want to check that out. So definitely go out there, subscribe, like the videos. We would definitely appreciate that, and I think you would enjoy it. Chris, any announcements from the AV perspective or events?
Nope. Have Catherine do for First Friday.
Say that again.
Have
Catherine?
Catherine talk about First Friday for me.
Come on up and talk about First Friday. That'd be great.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey. So from our last First Fridays event, we have a couple of heroes. Sadly, a lot of our committee members just had other commitments, and we were like all out of town. So we had 2 members holding down the fort, and our heroes are Ron, but especially Carol. Can we please give it up for her? She did an amazing job holding down the fort when all of us were out of town. Just, we're on vacation and drinking margaritas, and she did all the work. So, no, that's not true. We had other real life commitments. So, huge shout out to especially Carol and Ron as well. Also, Carol got us a really cool, bicycle rickshaw that brings people from the crossroads up here, which was very well received and very fun. So, our other hero is the volunteers. Oh my goodness, I've heard so many good things about all of the volunteers, and I've got to say, the part of the guild that kept me at the guild was the amazing community, the connections. I knew I could walk in here, and if I didn't know something, no one was going to meet me with disdain or judgment or anything. They would drop what they were doing, and they would teach me something. And that's what we really get the chance to showcase at these events. And when you guys show up as members to give tours and do all those wonderful things, you're showing the best part of ourselves, which is the great teaching community we have here. So y'all are awesome. Keep doing that. Keep showing up. Sadly, the weather beat us a little bit in June. It started raining down in the crossroads, and that sort of dried up our traffic. So our sales were not the best, but let's not get discouraged by that. We can't predict the rain, let alone control the rain. So let's hope for great weather in July and just keep on showing up and doing what you do. If you haven't signed up to sell with us yet, why haven't you? Really, guys, why are you all not sellers with us already? I'm sure you've all made something. It costs you nothing to show with us. We take a 20% commission, and believe me, that is not even offsetting the cost of the event, so we're not being greedy, okay? Just show up and sell anything. Sell something you made in Rough to Ready or one of the classes, or that gift that you gave someone that they did not appreciate enough. Take it back. Sell it. So we'll see you all at First Fridays, and bring a friend.
Thank you so much. I actually, for the first time, I did come down for First Friday, and I was amazed at all the amazing work that was here for sale. It was just really, really great to see everyone's craftsmanship. The Turners had a lot of beautiful things as well, so it really was a nice event. So my compliments to the team putting it on and all the work they've done. And I just think it is great for the community to come see what we can offer. So great event. Moving on down the agenda. Membership, any announcements, Jim?
Should I come up to the mic?
Come on up. Yeah, you're not loud enough. Not for online, anyway.
It's been a really long time since I've chatted with all of you, and I just want to take this opportunity to say hi.
Is
And
that it?
that's almost it. First on the list is we would like for Cal's son to stand up. Thank you. And Cal was referring to young college graduates that are pretty good with computers. And Ron, you might want to keep your eyes on this kid. We got to get him in as a member first. But all I wanted to say, we were at 7:57 when the meeting started. We're up to 7:58. Barbara, newest member. Come on, stand up. And we have two guests roaming the halls named Steve and Jerry. If you see a name tag, don't act like Chuck. Be friendly. And let's have a real good time. That's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Great update. Thank you, Jim. Okay. Matt, you have a program tonight. Any announcements for programs? Okay. Moving on. Steve, any announcements from the safety committee? Come on up. Or from the safety realm.
Good evening, everybody. So we had a little traffic problem from my end coming in, so it's not safe on the roads. Just be careful. The rain created problems for a lot of motorists, I guess. So since I was here and reported out, we've had 2 safety committee meetings. We've kind of formalized who the safety committee is. So let me quickly share the names of, if I haven't done that already. We've got John Sloss. Chuck Saunders is participating with us. Ron Haas sits in with us. Ron Lomax. And Denny Songergoth. So, and there may be somebody else I'm missing beside myself. So, I thank all of those individuals, and they are a big help. We've had 2 meetings getting traction around our first thing that we really wanted to kind of lock down were safety orientation sessions, and we have kind of scheduled all those and have those set up for instructors from now until the end of the year. So that's a good thing. Takes a little bit of load off my mind.
When's the next orientation?
July 13th, I believe. This is Sunday, I think. Going with my feeble memory there, but I think that's right. So, so that'll be Ron Lomax and I will be kind of taking care of that one. Thus far, each orientation we've had back in May, we had 5 folks in, and then I was out of town for the June session. We had 8 new members that joined that. That, along with Rough and Ready, we're steadily trying to bring new members into the fold, and that's been working out very, very well for us. So that's one thing. The other thing is updating some safety policies. We've got there's some pieces of equipment since the safety rules book was updated. From my estimation, the last time was probably 2017, 2018. And then we went into the pandemic in 2020, not much more beyond that. So we're going to be, at some point in time, I don't have the details on that right now, but we'll be coming out with some an updated version of that with some pieces of equipment that have been included. So we've got a line on that, and that's pretty good. We're also looking at just starting the process around, Ed Stewart, I see Ed. Ed's also on the team. I'm sorry, Ed. Didn't need another one there, so he's important. So safety videos. We have probably about 3 to 4, maybe 5, depending on how we break that up, new subjects. So we're working on trying to get folks interested in being narrators. We're working then next on writing scripts, and then whatever that filming process looks like. So moving forward on that, and then other details to come. So that's it. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Okay, moving down, so rough to ready, there's plenty of classes out there. So if you don't know, once you become a member, to be able to use our shop, you have to either pass our safety orientation, or one of the other ways is to take a rough to ready class, which is a different way to actually do hands-on learning about all the equipment. There's lots of classes available, so check out the website for that. Sponsorship, Dwayne, I know you have raffle things, so Megan, do you want to tell us what's available?
All right, so I have a very special raffle, which is these red tickets over here, which are the same as 3 normal tickets. So, and for one red ticket, you can get a router table, and router accessories. And we have something that we don't know the name of. The box clamps, beeswax paste, chisels, obviously the 1, 2, 3 blocks. This Wolverine vari grind attachment, I don't know. And this saw stop. Plus also have these saw blades for anyone that wants them. They are free. Do whatever you like with them.
Awesome. Well, good stuff over there. Thank you. And over the break, buy the tickets. You may win some awesome stuff. And make sure you don't put the ticket in the same one that David Roth did. So, seems to be the big winner a lot of the time. Training, Rich, you want to come up and show off, talk through what's going on?
Hi, everyone. We've got some skill builder opportunities I want you to know about. We've got skill builders. We've got them lined up throughout the rest of the year. So if you look at the newsletter, you'll be able to see what we have. But I do want to point out, in July, we have, I'm going to mispronounce this word, I always do. Pyrography. Thank you. Pyrography. Wood burning. we have pyrography with Barb Akers is going to be doing that. In August, Terry Johnson is going to be doing stained glass and how you can incorporate stained glass in your woodworking. And in September, John Johnson is going to be doing wood stabilization. So if you haven't marked your calendars for those are going to be the first Saturday of each month, and that's from 2 to 4. So, and those are free to come to. And then next, I want to point out we have a special class. And I actually didn't write about it in the newsletter because I thought as soon as the announcement went out for it, it was going to fill up so quickly that if I put it in the newsletter, you all would just go, why are you telling us about a class that we can't possibly get into? Dave Kratz is actually teaching a class on his shaker step. And I wanted to show you, this isn't exactly one of Dave Kratz's ones, but it's one that I had. This is a shaker step. If you have never taken a class with Dave Kratz, you want to take a class with Dave Kratz. He is just a mentor to many of us here. And it's not just Dave. Dave has a whole team. Wayne, you're part of that as well, I believe. And there's a whole team of people who are going to be helping with this. This is going to be July 13th from 9 to 5. As of right before I came here, there are 2 spots open. I just don't understand why you're not all on your cell phones trying to get that class right now. But this is an opportunity that may not come around very often anymore, so my suggestion is if you got an opportunity to take a Dave Kratz class, take one. So those are the things I want to talk about.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay. Question.
Thanks. Sorry, I forgot something important last time I was here too. You guys are all just so pretty. You make me nervous. I forget things. So we are joined this coming month in July by another wonderful crafts community. The Kansas City Clay Guild is going to join us for First Fridays. They're going to have 10 members who are going to bring their work and sell and promote their guild along with us. So we're hoping to steal their members. So come on out and see some clay too.
Oh, that's awesome. Great. Thank you. All right, we're moving down the agenda pretty well. Now is the time we talk about our SIGs, which are our special interest groups. So I'm going to go down the SIGs, and if you have announcements for the SIGs, jump up and let me know. First is the hand tool SIGs. The next meeting is June 23rd. That's always held the fourth Sunday of the month from 2 to 4. Wayne, anything special to talk about? Cutting curves and shaping, that's the topic. That's a great topic. So June 23rd. Next one, wood carving SIG. So led by Dan Rubidoux and Jim Brock, held the fourth Tuesday of the month from 6 to 8. I don't want to take your thunder, but do you have anything special to talk about?
The main thing is that you've got an issue with carving. Just come and see it.
If you've got an issue with carving, come out and see it. Any kind of carving, power carving, traditional carving, folk carving, whatever, chip carving, whatever you can. Great. Turkey carving. Not the kind you're all thinking about. Okay, great. Laser engraver SIG, led by Curtis Alexander. The next meeting is June 26th. That's the fourth Wednesday of the month at 7. Is Curtis here? Oh, right in front of me. Sorry, Curtis. And I know that you usually say if you want to come out and get trained, that's the time to do it as well. Anything other specific? Great. We have a lot of great crafts coming out of the laser these days from the Guild over the last couple of years. Scroll Saw SIG led by George Rexroad. The next meeting is July 10th, and that meets the second Wednesday of the month at 7. George, come on up.
Starting with the next meeting in July, I will be having some type of craft to make on the scroll saw, and I'll start at 6 and precede the meeting that's at 7. In July, it's going to be for making a puzzle, and when we get closer to Christmas, it's going to be Christmas ornaments. But come out, enjoy making a mess and the SIG itself.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, George. The last one on the list is the CNC group led by Ed Stewart, and that meeting, the next meeting is July 16th. It's always held the third Tuesday. I'm reading it right here and it's wrong.
Yeah, it's a misprint. It used to be on Tuesday. We moved it. It's the third Monday of the month, July 15, and we start at 6:30 in the classroom. We'll have a presentation, we'll have a little show and tell, and anybody that's a member of the Guild can come. They can also bring a guest if they wish. And we do have some people once in a while that come in and are interested in the CNC. I don't know if any of them have joined after the SIG, but anyway, they're welcome. I want to announce that we have a new CNC instructor. Drew Richardson has joined the instructors team, and I'm very excited to have him on board. So,
all right, fantastic. Thank you, Ed. So that concludes our business portion of the meeting. So now we're going to roll into show and tell. And I know you all were looking forward to it, but Jim Bainey's not here, so you're going to have to deal with. If you've got a show and tell item, come on up and kind of get in line over here. And looks like we got a really nice complement of show and tell items. So, looks like some beautiful work. Kevin, why don't you start us off?
Thank you, Lefty. My daughter has a new bed. It's higher. She had a little plastic step stool, and I looked at that and I said, you know that I could make one of those for you? And she goes, well, okay. So I proceeded to go to my scrap pile and pull out some oak. And I did a through mortise on the side. Never done one of those before. And did the Craig jig not Craig Arnold jig, but Craig jig. And I looked at my plugs, and they were all pine. So I thought, well, I'll just run up to Woodcraft. Woodcraft's our sponsor. We'll go up there and get one. Nope. Went to Home Depot. Went to Lowe's. Nothing there, nothing there. My wife says, why are you running around all over town? Call somebody. So I called Rockler. Rockler says, yeah, we got them. Put one aside. I'm on my way. So I got the oak plugs for that, sanded them down, used them Danish oil finish, and I liked the way that did, and then I put a little topper of Odie's oil on it. Now, unfortunately for me, I have a very detail-oriented wife. So what she saw was this domino where I put the wood together to make a tabletop originally. Tabletop didn't work out. So to my embarrassment and humility that I don't have very much of, I said, well, I'll take it apart. And she goes, no, no, no. Go ahead and give it to her. It's okay. That's the story.
Well, that was really nice of your wife to allow that faux pas. So,
I don't know how to cover it up.
So dimensionally, did you just copy the one that your daughter had?
No. I pulled out of a popular woodworking magazine a simple stool. And this arch is a high school protractor curve.
Okay, so looks like it worked pretty well.
It's very sturdy. It'll hold me, and if it holds me, it'll hold her. And her husband's bigger than I am, so he could jump on it too. So it all worked out real nice.
Very nice project. Any questions from anyone?
Thank you for no questions.
And now, now that Kevin has shown his beautiful work, we're going to hand over the show and tell to Kevin.
Thank you. All right, Matt, put it on the board.
They're good enough? Oh, brought it on the board. Okay. It's a wraparound grain box. In fact, the program I'm giving tonight is on how to do wraparound grain box. It's a little bit of a mind bender. It's once you figure it out, it's really not that bad, but you really got to pay attention to detail. This is just a piece of walnut that I found laying around, in the junk pile, and happened to have nice grain on it. And I also found a chunk of poplar and Odie's oil finish. Pretty simple. Any questions?
Any kind of an idea of where you got the size of the box, or was that just what the wood would allow?
It started out actually about that tall. and my wife says, no. And so I cut it down, and it is what it is. I mean, I didn't get it out of anywhere. That's what it. I didn't use any kind of Pythagorean theorem or any kind of magical numbers in order to get the right dimensions or anything else. It's just what came out is what came out.
Well, I asked Craig Arnold earlier, I says, I wonder how Matt got that nice green tint into that wood.
Yeah, they just grow naturally that way. When I was at Fort Dix, we had a stand of timber. It was 10 acres, and the previous forester had, he really liked doing things statistically. And so he went in and did a sample survey cruise, and came up with numbers that were just, you could not stack, at Schuette's Lumber, you can't stack lumber tall enough in order to come up with the numbers that he came up with for the amount of timber that was on that 10 acres. So I resurveyed the whole thing, and I did a 100% survey of every tree. And it was 100% tulip poplar. I could literally touch two 40-inch diameter trees.
Wow.
And they're about like maybe close to 200 feet tall. I mean, they were huge. So yeah, there was, if you were to cut all that timber down, saw it up, you would not be able to stack it tall enough in a wood lot. It was amazing. I would like to see, we talked about a Craig jig. I'd like to see Craig do a jig.
No, that's a Craig Arnold jig.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
Yes,
for
sir.
Matt?
That's the hardest part as far as getting it clean. I used a dado, and basically it was, just, oh yeah, as you can see that. He's talking about this edge here. Getting that down just right is really tricky. It's like I take a little bit more, it didn't quite fit. Take a little bit more, didn't quite fit. Take a little bit more, oh crap. It's one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things. And then, because it's a dado, it's not perfectly smooth. So you literally spend more time with a shoulder plane or some other way to get that edge smooth than you do on the whole rest of the box. Yeah. That's it.
Any other questions?
Outstanding.
Good job, Matt. Thank you so much. All right, Wayne. Wayne, what kind of art do you have for us today?
Just a Kamiko panel, little bit of walnut. What's that? Yeah. There we go. That's better, yeah. So just basswood, little bit of walnut. Nothing too special. I did use mulberry paper for the background. It's backed with some black.
Lay it flat.
Laid flat? Okay. Use the mulberry paper with it's actually painted plywood on the back. Did black paint. Don't know if I really like it, but it'll be pretty easy to change if I want to. Just take it out and repaint it, and that's it.
Did you do the frame?
Yes. Yeah, it's oak. Just been ebonized with a dissolved steel wool in vinegar.
Yep.
Yep. And then supplemented with some bark that has high tannin. So
Where did you find the dark basswood?
You mean the walnut that I used? Yeah, I had some 16th inch walnut, so I just put that in there, and that was it. So.
Very nice. Any questions?
What kind of time do you think you have in it, Wayne?
It's hard to say. Days. It's kind of, I cut the whole.
That's pretty vague.
The grid,
days.
yeah. The grid work I cut by hand, so I did all the half laps by hand, and so that took a little bit of time, but it's actually probably a little easier than trying to figure out on the table saw what to group together and all that type of thing. So, but it wasn't too hard. So.
Did you those little thin pieces?
I cut them on the table saw. I use a 16th inch blade, and I just get a board, and I just cut them. That's it.
Oh.
Do you use a sled or just
No,
an
I use the fence. I
Just
set
the
the
fence.
fence an 1/8 inch from the blade, and have a good push stick that I just push them through. Works fast, and you get a lot of material out of a little
Very
bit of wood.
nice.
Have you decided where it's going to be? Have you just,
It's going to get hung. My wife actually says she likes it, so that's something new. So usually I make stuff, and she says, "Where the hell are you going to put that?" So.
Very nice.
Any
Very
other
nice.
questions?
So to clarify, you cut the strips on the table saw, but the individual pieces are cut with hand tools, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure if
Yes.
that was what you were asking.
Yeah, all the fitting is done.
Yeah.
Done by hand. Okay. I kind of wanted to do different sizes, and this is kind of what came out. I wasn't really sure when I started what I was going to do, and just kind of kind of the walnut went in as an afterthought. I said, oh, well, that might actually go in there good, so turned out not too bad.
Very nice, Wayne. All right, we got a first timer here. Just lay it right down here.
Well, so you can ignore the painting in the middle because the frame was for it, but I made the frame here. But yeah, first time doing this. It's my first time making a frame. I came in here one day and I asked Ed what he would suggest for what kind of wood I should use if I was going to make a frame, and then I was going to most likely end up painting it. And he said bird's eye maple was the thing I should use. Just kidding. He had suggested that I get some poplar at Home Depot or something because I just wanted to do it pretty quick. So I went over there and I started looking through the maple because I just saw it and I thought I'd take a look, and I found this one piece of bird's eye maple there, and so I was like, well, I'm not painting it anymore. I'm gonna buy this piece. So I made this frame out of it, and then I got done and I was trying to figure out what kind of finish I should use, and I was asking a bunch of people for help on that too. And no one suggested it, but I went down a shellac rabbit hole, and I've never done that before, and so I was like, I'm gonna try it. So yeah, I went and got some flakes, and then made it, and then tried to follow the methodology, I think, of French polishing, but I did not exactly do that because I'd never done it before. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think that I'm learned something, and I was surprised at how smooth and shiny I think the finish turned out. I was worried about that.
Looks nice, looks nice. How did you determine the size to cut the wood for this?
Chris actually helped me when I was here doing that one day, trying to calculate all these things and figure out exactly what size I needed to keep the width I wanted, and I don't even remember. I think we just did some old school math and tried to figure it out, but he also had to help me dial in my miters because I really hate cutting those, and I did some. They didn't turn out so great, and then we used a shooting board and got them dialed in. So they turned out great after that. I couldn't be happier with how that turned out.
So comment, you used the shooting board and you used the clamps, which there are those clamps in the raffle too.
How did you join your miters? Are they just glued, or is there a spline?
It's just glue. I probably should have splined them, but I didn't.
What choice of glue did you use?
It was great.
I think it was Type Bond 3. It was just what I had, but I'm cheap, so I did the framing myself, and I was going to say there's a groove that I cut in. Like, there's a rabbit that I cut in here to hold the picture in, and then I just used this craft paper to make it on my own after that. But
Who did the painting?
I did the painting a couple years back.
That's
couldn't
nice.
find anything that was the size for it. That's what made me have to make the frame, because every time I went to the store, I couldn't find anything that size.
That's another project in itself. Great job.
Very nice.
Cool.
Dave Roth, do you have anything for us today?
All right, good evening. A while back, about over 20 years ago, was this first fleur-de-lis that was built. You want on the table? All right. This first one was built 20 years ago. That's when I kind of started doing Intarsia, but this is cherry, red heart, and walnut. After about 20 years, that red heart that used to be red like your hat turns to this color. That's all right, but it's sculpted. So you hang something like this on a wall, and you have your lamp on the table. I told you guys this before, but you have to cast a shadow. So now you see a shadow of the floor. You can even kind of see a slight shadow here if you come up close to it. So we held a class this week here, and we had 3 students do it. It was in the evening from 4 to 8:30, 4:30 to 8:30, and they made their own fleur-de-lis, and so they did one out of walnut, Paduke, and African mahogany. That's the nice thing about these woods is that's your color palette, like you're painting right here. That's what these types of woods are. Paduke will change into, in about 15 years, it's going to change into like a milk chocolate bar. But after about 7 to 12 years, it looks like crud. But you give it time, it really looks really nice. It's a nice looking walnut. Looks like a really nice dark brown. Unfortunately, that class sold out on Tuesday night when it went up. But at Woodcraft, one of our sponsors, on July 13th, we have one class from 9 to 4:30. There's some spots open up there. So if you want to take the class, it's $95. No guild discount, but it's the same cost as here. So if you're interested, that class is going on there. I think that's about it. Anyone have any questions?
Your finish?
Oh, the finish. The finish on this is true oil. It's used for gun stocks. So if you go hunting, you scratch your gun stock, you just put another coat on. Okay, it's nice and shiny. This one here is a satin finish. It's shellac, satin finish varnish, and wax. So the wax gives a little bit of sheen to that satin finish. So it's not too shiny. It's just right. To me, I mean, choose whatever finish you like.
Very nice. Very nice.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Any questions?
All right. Yeah. I believe, is that your guy?
Yeah.
You took the class. You got yours hanging up, right? Not yet. Oh, you didn't move. All right, so you made one. You know that? Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Craig.
Hello. I have a box. A lot of times I have scrap wood left over, and this is African blackwood on the bottom, and I lasered my logo and name on there. Then we have some leopard wood on for the sides. It's lined, or the bottom is Spanish goat suede on there, and then had some curly maple that I used, an effect I read about in a magazine from years ago. It's iron nitrate. You apply that on, let it dry, and then hit it with a heat gun, and it turns almost black. And then you sand it back, and then that's what gives you the chatoyance. There's your 50-cent word of the day. And then in the box, the inside of the box is shellac. The outside of the box is oil, along with the bottom, wood linseed oil. The inside of the lid is shellac, and the outside is the iron nitrate with 3 coats of armor seal in satin. So I thought that was kind of a neat effect on there. But if you pick this box up and hold it back and forth, you can see the ripples of the curly maple in there. It's pretty nice.
I'd say that you captured the zoo with the leopard and
the leopard wood, the goat skin.
the goat skin, as well as the zebra.
Yeah. Got the whole thing right there.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Where'd you meet the goat? The goat? At Tandy Leather. I had that little skin for about 10 years. They had a big pile of them for $10 a piece. And I thought, well, I'll do something with it one day. And I ran across it and I'm like, oh, this will make great linings for boxes. So a bunch of the boxes I have right now have goats, either goat suede or goat skin in it, depending on what side you glue down. So,
I have a question regarding the iron nitrate.
Yeah.
Do you have to do anything to neutralize the acids in that so that
No.
it doesn't continue to darken?
No, it just dries.
Sweet.
So, and then the important thing, though, is hitting it with the heat gun, because it will just turn it black. And then depending on how much you sand, you'll get different effects of color on there. I've got some quilted maple that some is sanded a little bit more than another, and the color intensity is just really cool. And also, if you put tannic acid down first and let that dry before you put the iron nitrate on, you get a real red tone underneath. and that's what one of the lids has back there. So it's a really neat effect. I was going to bring it up, but the box isn't complete yet that the lid's for, so I was doing all that iron nitrate stuff at one time.
So where do you get the iron nitrate?
I got it from is it Kimbler's gun restoration, gun stocks, and all that. It's just an online store for the gunsmith. So
Got a question over here.
I had a question there. It's a liquid, comes pre-mixed. You just, and then just brush it on and let it dry. So, yeah. The tannic acid comes in a powder, and so they give you instructions on how to mix it if you want to use that technique underneath the tannic acid. But once you heat it up, it turns from iron nitrate to iron nitrite when it's mixed with the tannic acid. So it's kind of a cool effect on there.
Craig Arnold, chemist. Thank you.
All right. And I do teach a wood finishing class, and I think I might add that to my next finishing class.
Very good.
So you have like 4 rods and like 4 different types of finish as well. So how much more complicated could you get?
Hi there. My name is Ben Hobbs. I'm Calvin's son. I just graduated college. I haven't presented a project here in probably 9 years. So if you saw that nightstand a while ago, same guy. But I'm back. I'm working downtown, so my dad figured I should come show off a project that I finished probably a year and a half ago, winter of 23. This is a pedal board. So I play electric guitar in a rock and roll band in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And all of these different effects pedals kind of change the tone of your guitar when you run your signal through them. And I was playing a lot of shows. We played like 26 shows in 2022. And I was just putting them flat on the floor. And you got to really upgrade your appearance if you want to get somewhere in life. And so I wanted to get a pedal board. You can buy like metal ones, but they're really expensive and you don't get the added experience of working on a project with your dad. So I told him I wanted to do this, and we had to come from scratch. Watched a couple YouTube videos of people who had done it before. Basically, I just laid out what I had here, measured. So I have this extra real estate in case I want to add anything in the future. The top is felt that I just got from a pedal board making website. And so this is my first time upholstering anything. So that was pretty fun. Every pedal has Velcro tape on the bottom, so I can wiggle it around and they don't go anywhere. The enclosure is made out of cherry, and we put wipe-on poly on there. And the most challenging part of this was definitely the dovetails on the corners. We did not take our time with them, I don't think, and we fit them a little early and had to deal with some splitting and glued that back up. I also got this hinge on here, so I don't know if you can see on the camera. So it's open. It's got a bunch of junk in there, but this is the power supply here, so it's all wired through. I used a scroll saw for the first time to cut out the slits in the top that all the wires come through, and then I had to, get this one has to go all the way to the other end, and then there's feet that I never put on there, so it's definitely dirty. It's been on the floor of a bunch of different venues and bars and things, but it was made to be used, and it's gotten a lot of good use, and had a fun time making it.
Ben, the stuff inside is not junk. That's his essential items.
That's true.
For
Yeah, so I got guitar picks in the Altoids can, so it's not actually refreshing, but got a slide, loose screws, and an old set list, so it's good stuff. It is essential, you're right.
Essential.
Very true.
How come it's not going down?
So it's got tight fit there in the corners.
Do you want to plug your band?
Yeah, we're called Ted Hammig in the campaign. He's our lead singer. We're on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you want to listen to music. It's good stuff.
Now, Did you make your own guitar, or did you just buy it off the shelf?
My first acoustic guitar was a kit from Grizzly that we put together, but this one was graciously gifted to me by my father for Christmas.
Thanks, Dad.
And mother.
And mother, yes. Yes. But I would love to make an electric guitar someday. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Be nice.
Yeah.
Be very nice. Very good. Any questions for Ben?
So my question is for Cal. Cal, what did you learn working on this project with him?
Honestly, I had no idea how to build one, how to put one together. He came with all that facts. So I was just here to okay, if you want to build it, how would you go around building it? Honestly, he did most of the work. I mean, obviously I was there to help, just like you all would do with any of your family or anybody you're helping. But I thought it was cool that he came with the whole design, and I was just there to help him just sort of make it come together.
He started the dovetails, and then I took over the process. I've done them a little bit before, but it was probably about 10 years ago as well. So, yeah.
Please repeat the question.
I haven't done many. He asked if that was the only electrical and woodworking that I've combined. Yes. I haven't done a ton of woodworking to begin with, but...
He's been a busy college student down
That's
there.
true, yeah. Oh, wow. That's very impressive.
Well, bring it in. We need more show and tell.
I would say the hardest challenge that we had was because of the box being so slender at the front. When we glued it up, we could have done a lot better job of clamping strategies to make sure everything was it twisted when we got it out of the clamps. So it took a lot of work to get that back flat. That was probably our biggest challenge.
Yeah, we
Wouldn't
did
you
a
say,
lot
Ben?
of planing, a lot of hand planing to, because it has to sit, if we're going to be stepping on this all the time, it needs to be sitting flat. So there was a lot of that involved. Also, the whole angle of everything, I think that was my first time using the table saw with an angled blade, because we wanted everything to be flush with the top there instead of, flat and then slanted and then flat again. So.
Very nice. Now, let's turn that around. What did you learn in this project working with your dad?
I think I learned the importance of slowing down and taking your time. I like to rush through a lot of things, and you get better results. I think if you take your time on the front end, you're probably saving yourself some trouble in the back end. So.
That's right. Now, see, if I'd have just listened to my wife and not done that, dominant.
That's right.
It's funny you say that because I learned woodworking from the most impatient man I've ever known, which is the other Ben Hobbs.
Very good. Russ? What have you got? That's not woodworking.
Well, this is not woodworking. This is a tech tip.
A what?
A tech tip. How many of you have cords at home, extension cords and everything? Every one of you, right? And how many of you have bought nice little wraps to go around those extension cords? Well, if you're a stingy bastard like me, you don't want to spend any money on expensive stuff. So I have some worn out Harbor Freight gloves that kind of get kind of messed up here. I was hoping that I was hoping that
He's at a Harbor Freight convention right now. I can tell you that.
I was hoping he would have been here. So anyway, these gloves have Velcro and a nice elastic band around them. So you just take a pair of scissors, cut that off, and you now have a new elastic band to go around your extension cords. I've got several. I got several extension cords at home that I've done this with, and they really work out quite well. The right-handed ones. So, anybody got any questions? All right. Oh, what? Yeah? Woodworkers Guild.
All right. Russ.
Well, that's awesome.
How about cutting these two fingers out, putting the cord through, and then cinching it up? You make too much work, you cheap old bastard. What's going on?
No, I don't think that would work. By the time I finish with these Harbor Freight gloves, they're pretty worn out on the fingers. And that's it.
Very good. That's it. Back to you.
I want to say thank you to everybody who brought the show and tell. That's, for me, that's always the highlight of our week. We have a lot of great stuff, but that's really just a highlight to always see the projects. And we're a little lean on our numbers. We had some great projects the last couple months, but it's nice to see everybody bring your work. So I want to encourage you to bring it. You're working on something, bring it. We love seeing it. It was great. So thank you all for bringing it. So we're going to go with, if you remember last month, I said, hey, we're going to give you a little extra time to chit-chat, and nobody needs to be yelling at anybody to sit down, because that's the last thing we want to do and want to enjoy. So we're going to do about a 10 to 12 minute break. We'll give you a warning. We'll give you the 5-minute warning, the 2-minute warning, and then we'll come back for Matt to talk to us about wraparound grain. So enjoy, get some refreshments, and we'll see you in 10 or 12 minutes.
Your safety and the safety of all members when using any of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild's hand or power tools is the #1 concern your safety committee and the board of directors of the Guild. Nearly every woodworking project will need to be sized and smoothed by one of the Guild's power surface planers. Currently, we have 2 planers in surface and available for the membership to use. One is a 15-inch jet planer and the other a 20-inch grizzly planer. Hi. My name is Christine Kessler, and welcome to the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild's ongoing series of machine safety videos. Today, we will cover the safety rules and requirements of the Guild's power surface planers and how to safely operate these machines. Keep in mind that this video is targeted to only cover the operational safety points of our power surface planers and is not designed to be a complete training program in the use of these machines. A power surface planer is used to smooth and dimension your lumber to the final thickness needed to construct your project. Both of the planers currently in the Guild inventory have helical cutting heads that smooth the top of any boards fed into the machine. Each of the machines have an adjustable table that raises and lowers to allow you to plane lumber, making multiple passes to a very accurate and specific thickness and smoothness. Remember, when you are in the shop, please direct any questions about using our planers and any of the other Guild equipment to the on-duty shop foreman. She or he is there to act as a vital resource to keep you safe, providing advice and assistance to successfully complete your project. While you are in the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild shop, you must wear OSHA-approved safety glasses with side shields at all times. Your regular glasses are not approved for use in any shop activity while you are at the Guild. The noise created in the operation of a surface planer might make you wear plugs or earmuffs. While not a safety requirement of the Guild, it is solely a personal decision. However, there is one caution on hearing protection. Our Guild's rules stipulate that any hearing protection worn by members must not have the ability to receive any type of broadcast media. Failure to follow this requirement may result in losing your shop privileges. Additionally, you should not wear any loose clothing or jewelry. Long hair should be tied back to prevent it from catching in the machine and drawing you into it, which can result in significant injury. Before surfacing any material on the thickness planer, the material must be flat and true on one face and not less than 12 inches in length. Flat material will have first been surfaced on a jointer or flattened by hand planing. A board not flattened and put through the planer will result in a board that is smooth but that will mirror the warp, twist, cup, or bend to the other side of the board. You should examine your material and remove any loose knots from your board before planing so that they are not caught by the cutters and turned into projectiles when fed into the machine. Another solution to loose knots is that they may be locked into place by applying an epoxy resin to fill any gaps. However, application of epoxies will delay your planing operations until the epoxy completely cures. Any and all reclaimed lumber must be presented to the foreman on duty before machining to determine its suitability for use. It must also be thoroughly checked for any hidden nails or other metals with an approved metal detector. Treated green, yellow, or other ground contact lumber is banned from use at the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild. These lumbers have been treated with chemicals that may have negative health consequences. Before starting, adjust the planer to a thickness that allows the boards that you are going to be planing to pass easily under the cutting head without removing any more than 1/32 to 1/16 of an inch of material. Always run wood through the planer with the grain running parallel to the length of the planer bed. Never plane across the grain or across an in-grain slab. This will almost certainly cause tear out, and it may happen in an explosive manner by damaging the planer and possibly injuring the operator. While planer kickbacks are rare, they are potentially violent. When feeding stock into the planer, always stand to the left or right of the feed table to be clear of any kickback should it happen. Extremely dry or brittle wood also has the potential to shatter and be ejected from the infeed side of the planer. If the board is thicker on one end than the other and jams in the machine, do not shut it off. Slowly crank open the height adjustment wheel until the board resumes feeding through the planer. Should the machine lock up and trip the circuit breaker, crank open the feed table until you can clear the jam and then immediately notify the foreman so that they can reset the breaker and you can resume working. If you need to plane any stock that is equal to or less than 3/8 of an inch thick, you must use a backer board. If the stock to be planed is equal to or less than 1/4 of an inch thick, it is too thin to be fed through any of our planers and must be hand planed or may possibly be fed through a wide belt or edge sander. Fingers pinched in between the stock and the infeed table. The downward pressure of the feed rollers on the stock presents as a substantial crush injury risk. Keep your hands, fingers, and any other body parts more than 3 inches away from the infeed ports of the machine at all times. It is acceptable to have a helper catch your material as it exits the planer. He or she should place the boards on top of the planer's return rollers or stack the material on a cart and nearby table. If the planer's attached dust collector has a warning light and it begins flashing while you are planing, shut down your operation and the dust collector and remove and empty the dust barrel attached to the collector. Again, if you're not sure how to do this, ask your foreman for some assistance and you'll be a pro before you know it. When finished, shut down the planer and then the dust collector. However, if your planer is sharing its dust collector with another machine, make sure that another member isn't using the shared machines. If so, leave the dust collector running so that they can safely complete their operation. Check around your work area for dust and debris. Clean up both the machine and the adjacent floor area. Please remember, be alert and always be safe. For the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild, this is Christine Kessler. Thanks for watching.
My name is Kitsy Dingley, and welcome to another episode of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild ongoing series of machine safety videos. Today's video will introduce you to the safety concerns of the Shopbox 15-inch wide belt sander. Keep in mind that like all safety videos, This video only covers the safety concerns of the ShopFox wide belt sander and is not a complete training program for the use of this sander. When in the shop, please direct any questions about using this or any other machine to the shop foreman. He or she is there as your main resource to keep you safe and provide assistance in completing your project successfully. And always remember, the most important of safety concerns is to wear approved safety glasses with side shields at all times while in our shop. The wide belt sander is for sanding any wide, flat panels on your project. The ShopFox sander uses a 15-inch wide sanding belt. This sander also has an open-end design so that you could sand panels wider than 15 inches. However, this practice is not encouraged because our shop has other wide belt sanders capable of sanding panels up to 37 inches in one pass. To ensure that your stock contacts the feed rollers, the minimum length of any stock being fed into the ShopFox sander is 14 inches, and the minimum thickness is 3/16 of an inch. Sanding stock to a thickness that is less than 3/16 of an inch is possible, but to prevent damage to the machine and your project, you must use a backer board. There are no in-feed and out-feed tables on any of our wide belt sanders, so that you must make sure that the area is clear on both the in-feed and the out-feed sides of the table. The control panel consists of the following: power indicator light, feed table on and off buttons, sanding belt on and off buttons, and an emergency stop button. Note also the emergency stop panic bar at the end of the in-feed side of the feed belt table. Emergency stop buttons and bars are for the immediate stopping of the machine, as in case of an emergency. Do not use them in the regular process of shutting down the machine, as the process is abrupt and it's hard on the machine. To get started, turn on the air supply to the sander, start the dust collector, adjust the table height to material thickness, raising the table until the stock has resistance sliding under the pressure roller. Turn on the feed belt, turn on the sanding belt. Be careful not to allow your fingers or clothing to get pinned between the board and the feed belt. Feed pieces individually through the sander. Do not feed multiple pieces through at the same time to prevent kickback of one or more pieces. Feed the stock flat on the belt, supporting the free end. Support the free end of the stock as it exits the machine as well. The wide belt sander is for finish sanding, not for thickness reduction. The sander can only move small amounts of material per pass. The table is raised by turning the hand wheel on the side. The hand wheel has bumps on the inside of the wheel. The maximum change of thickness is 1 bump on the wheel. Making a pass that removes a lot of stock causes poor sanding results and may in fact destroy the sanding belt, cause a kickback, or damage your project. When you've finished your sanding, turn off the sander in the following order: sanding belt, feed belt, dust collector, and air supply. Don't forget to clean up your work area. This is Kitsy Dingley, and thanks for watching.
Second clock. 5 seconds, 3 seconds. All right, hi everybody. We're going to get started with our program, so come on down. Matt is going to show us about wraparound grain, so without further ado, thank you, Matt, for being here. Let's love to hear what you got to say.
Do I have to turn this on? No, I guess I am one. Good, good. I don't have to worry about it. If you ever have to do this, you got to be careful of this wire, because when you walk around the corner, almost for sure you hang it up in these, anything that sticks out. So, wraparound grain. I think everybody's seen a lot of wraparound grain. It's really pretty. This I bought from Art LaGrange. He's one of our members, and I was really impressed with it. And I thought, well, I could do that. But the trick is you got to be able to come up with the wood. And I guarantee you don't go to Home Depot, or it's really pretty tricky to even go to Woodcraft or Rockler and find the wood that you would want to do a walnut wraparound grain. Because generally speaking, the big places, they don't really like to carry the sapwood. And obviously that's what you need is the contrast. Now it doesn't have to be walnut. Hackberry works really well for wraparound grain if you find the piece of, just like walnut, you got to find the right piece. You got to find the piece that has enough of contrast between, either contrast between the heartwood and the sapwood, or some other irregularities in the wood that give it that contrast. And you can find quite a bit of walnut that has the contrast between the sapwood and the heartwood, but a lot of times it's perfectly straight across. And yeah, it's contrast like this, but it's just not as attractive as that, in my opinion. I really do think that having some really crazy grain there is just more attractive than just the pure contrast in that grain. Now, you can do like I did. You can go down to the guy in Lewisburg. He's a retired railroader. I think he's only 40-something, maybe 50-something. Those railroad people, they have they have a better deal than us in the military. I mean, yeah, some of us retire at 37, 40 years old, but most don't retire that early. But at any rate, he has, he has a 10-acre plot of land. He's got one of his little ranchettes. Most of his is covered with trees. He's got a portable wood, I can't remember which brand he has. He's got a portable sawmill, band sawmill, and he saws a bunch of stuff, and he has slabs, and he has all kinds of wood. So I went down there, and I bought a couple of slabs of walnut from him that he had just recently cut, and he thought I was a little bit nuts at first because I was asking for the wood right smack dab out of the middle. I wanted the pith in the middle of that wood. Like no woodworker would ever want to buy that piece of wood because it's going to do this on you or that on you. It's going to do something. It's just not a good idea to buy wood with a pith in it, unless you're going for the contrast in the sap and the heartwood, because what you're looking for is quarter sawn wood on the outside, and on that outside from the center of the tree, you get, no matter where you cut it, you're going to get the grain so that it matches both on the inside and on the outside. It's not critical that it does it, but the other place it comes in critical is when you're cutting the piece of wood, and every cut is a kerf. Every kerf is a subtraction away from the wood. If you're talking about pieces that are perfectly straight across, then it doesn't make too much difference. This piece it does, because you can see, even though this was right from the center of the tree, look how nice and white it is on this side. This is the same doggone piece of wood, and it's a quarter inch. Where did the sapwood go? And when I bought it, it was perfectly fine, but in the curing process, the drying process, it just, so it's hit and miss when you're buying stuff like that. But at any rate, generally speaking, that's what you want to look for. The other way to do it is just to get lucky, like I did here. I found a piece of scrap wood, scrap walnut, and it just happened to have the grain that I wanted. And it wasn't necessarily exactly out of the center of the tree, but it was close enough that it really came out really pretty nice. So there's some of the things you got to think about is when you make those cuts and you lose that kerf, you can see in that corner, it doesn't exactly match. You can see it's off by a little bit. Oops. It's a little bit of delay in time there. It's not off by much, but it's off by a little bit. You can see it better there. This corner is a whole lot better. And so it's not going to, generally speaking, you're probably not going to get a perfect match all the way around the box. But, I mean, it's, you know, generally speaking, a person only looks at one side of the box at a time. You know, you can't see the back side of, unless you're looking at, you know, at a mirror or something like that. So if you do a pretty good job of matching it up, you're good to go. Now, so you got the piece of wood that you're starting out with. It needs to be thick enough that you can rip it in half. Now what I did, my slab was about 4 feet long, and on a live edge piece of wood, it's highly unlikely that's going to be perfectly straight all along that outside edge. So if you were to take that and put it on the table saw, say, and just try to trim that edge, you're going to lose an awful lot of wood. So the first thing I needed to do was figure out what size boxes I was going to make. And yeah, I'm going to slice it here, but this distance here is only about 11 inches, just too short to put on the joiner, run it through the planer, run it through the belt sander. So what I did is I cut for 2 boxes here, and then the other piece here was the same way. There are 2 boxes. That way I can do all the fine work. I can run it through the joiner, run it through the planer, get it really in pretty good shape. Not only that, but take it and put it on the big bandsaw here and just slice it right on down through the middle. And because you have to slice it down the middle because you're going to open it up. This will be, like I said, cut in half here, and this was a match over here. And I'm not worried about trying to find it perfectly matched. Probably goes this way. But just to show, if I was to cut it here, when you open it up, you actually open it up backwards. So it was like this, a thick piece. I sawed it down the middle, and then I open it up this way. And that gives you my matching grain on the end. That's about the only thing you really need to remember to do. It's not that easy to remember to do that. And this was not my first box. You know, not the first box that I made. The other ones that I made, yeah, you know, they're boxes. There still was a box, but there's no way I would call it a matching grain box because I screwed it all up. So you've really got to be conscious of the pieces of wood, which pieces you're holding at the time. What I started doing on one, I actually wrote on there in, out, so that the inside, the in represented, this piece of wood is going to be on the inside of the box, out obviously on the outside of the box. But then you got to erase that, where you got to sand it off or something. And if you glued the box up and you forgot to erase the in, that's what it says. At least I got the side right. I got it on the right side, but you know, don't tell anybody that it says in on the inside of the box. Another way to do it, after I started making some other ones, is I just took a piece of blue tape, and I decided it's either going to be on the inside or the outside, whichever it is. Choose one or the other, but make sure that it's both the same. And so on the outside of the box, blue tape, blue tape, blue tape, blue tape. And then when you saw it up, you know that that's where it's going to be. But you got to think about that process. Please don't stand at the table saw and think this whole process through if the shop is full of people that are standing in line waiting to use the cross-cut table saw. Because you're probably going to want to concentrate on it, especially if you found a really nice piece of wood that you don't want to waste. So do your thinking at the bench, mark it up. You got to think of all those different steps. You pretty much want to try to get that piece ripped down the middle. I didn't get it perfectly ripped down the middle. These could have been just a slight little bit thicker if I had done a better job on the bandsaw. So I still had to run them through the joiner, still had to run them through the planer, because the worst part that you're going to have, the part that's going to be the outside of the box, is the part that actually the bandsaw blade is touching. And our bandsaw is pretty good, but it's still not going to be perfectly smooth. You're still going to have to run it through the joiner and certainly through the planer and the sander. So you're going to lose a little bit more wood. So the better job you can do to get it split in the first place, the better off you are. And then just remember which is the inside, which is the outside, that kind of stuff. Take it through all those steps. You have to miter the corners. There is no other way to do that matching grain, of which I'm aware. Now, I'm no expert in the box building, but think about it logically. If you're trying to get that grain, I mean, ideally, you can cut across there with a router bit that had exactly the right angles, and get it so that you leave just the thinnest, barest piece of wood there, and then you could fold that grain. And with my luck, it would split anyway. So you might just as well cut it. And that's where you have to make all these. You got to do all this thinking before you, like I said, tie up the bands or tie up the table saw. Luckily, being a foreman, I can come in. I can choose times when there's not a lot of other people here, and I can stand there for a long time and do all that thinking there at the saw. So, anybody have any specific questions on wraparound grain box? This is not going to be a long program tonight. Yes, sir.
Hey, let's get microphones, please.
Yeah, he asked if I can show one more time the actual process, okay? So run it through the bandsaw. Let's just say this whole piece is going to be there. This is going to be the outside of the box. You've already gone with the thicker piece of wood. You've already gone and made those edges nice and as smooth as you can get them. The joiner, the planer, you've made them really nice. Because I started out with a slab of wood that was about 1.5 inches thick. So I actually got 4 slices out of there. And anyway, I made those because this is going to be the inside of the box now. I made these as smooth as possible. Then I put it on the bandsaw and ripped it. Those are going to be pretty rough. At that point, you could probably mark it as the outside of the box. And then you just bring it around that way. That's the secret of the whole thing, is just bring it around that way. Then you would just keep on bringing it around. But that's why it's a good idea to mark it, so you know, okay, geez, now what's the inside, what's the outside? Once you put a piece of wood down and you're taking your hands off of it, you better have some way of figuring it out. You may get lucky. The grain may look pretty nice that you can see it. And in fact, it may be that you even just give up on what your figuring is and just go with whatever looks nice. Thanks, Chris. Not Chris. Cliff. Yeah. Any other questions? As far as finishing goes, Odie's oil is pretty easy, or any kind of oil is pretty easy. These boxes here, I've done them in shellac. One thing, since I'm a turner, I know I can go into the turner's room and there is a Beal wheel system, which is basically, it's a lathe, but it has 3 polishing wheels on there. And oh man, you talk about putting a glass smooth finish on it. The first wheel just takes any roughness off of it. The second wheel polishes a little bit, and the third wheel puts a nice wax finish on it. And because of the heat of resistance from the wheel material, it softens up that shellac just nice enough, and with the wax on there, it makes it really nice, and it puts a beautiful finish on it. It's worth joining the turners just for that one piece of equipment. Honestly, God, if you want to polish any pieces of woodworking up, it really is worth joining the turners just for that one piece of equipment.
I was just going to ask you when you polish.
Hang on a second.
I was just going to ask you when you polish that up,
Do you put your shellac on first and then you polish it, or you polish it unfinished wood and then put your shellac on?
This one here is just
Using that
Odie's
tool.
oil, so I didn't worry about it. But these that are in shellac, yeah, I don't know, there's probably 4 or 5 coats of shellac on there.
No, my question, did you put it on first, or did you put them on after you polished it?
No, I put the shellac on first. These have not gotten to the wheel yet. These are, if you really looked at it closely, you can tell these have not been polished. But they have been shellacked with about 4 or 5 coats of shellac. I don't do as good a job as Ed does. If you want to learn how to do the perfect Steinway finish, talk to Ed. I've never seen anybody that can do it like Ed can do it. But I cheat. I go in there and I use the Beal wheel, and bzzz. The only thing is that wheel is turning really, really, really fast. You want to make sure that your piece of wood is in the right direction. You don't want the corner to catch here, because that thing will be on a floor. You can't blink fast enough. And if you're wearing sandals, like that's what we wear in the turning shop, is sandals, right? Safety first. A box like this would be crushed in a heartbeat before you even knew it, if you weren't being really careful about using that wheel properly. Ask me how I know that. Yeah.
Matt, is there a cutting sequence to the sides, or you just start from one end and keep going?
From the sides.
For the sides.
I don't think there's a cutting sequence. This here, because these are 2 boxes here. Okay, so the first thing I'll do, I'll go over to the radial arm saw. This will be cut in half. Now I have 2 boxes. This is about 11 inches. That determines, more or less, so now I know I'm going to have maybe, say, I don't know, maybe 7 inches long by 4 inches wide. It's not going to work out exactly that way, because I'm going to have the kerf in order to make those miters. So it's going to reduce it down below 7 and 4. And I might make a mistake and have to make another cut, which I've done because I forgot. And when you're putting these your 45-degree angles on here, you got to think that through too. And again, you might say, how do you know that, Matt? Yeah, I know because I made a mistake often enough that some of my boxes maybe started out as 4 inches by 7 inches, but ended up 3.5 by 6.5, because I put the angle on the wrong side. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to mess up these boxes.
So you have a long side and a short side.
Yes.
That comes from each half. But are they from the opposite end of each other?
I'm not absolutely certain, but let's. Yes. Okay. There's the answer. Yes. Yeah. It's a fun project to do if you find the right piece of wood. Like I said, walnut is the most obvious, but you don't have to use walnut. You could use any wood that has enough of contrast between 2 sections of wood, and it's got to be long enough to be able to do it, and thick enough that you'd be able to rip it in half. You can go to a logger. I like to buy from primary sources. I like to go to the actual logger. One of my favorite guys is Lester Bloomer because he's right across the river from me from Fort Leavenworth. But there's a guy down in Lewisburg. He's a nice guy to go visit. Problem is, Lewisburg's a hell of a drive for me. So I spend quite a bit of money just driving there and back, not to mention the time, but it's a nice area to visit. All the beautiful 10-acre ranchettes, sort of like Portland area, around Oregon, where everybody owns 10 acres of land, and they mow the grass everywhere.
Matt, you mentioned that the sapwood of walnut growing north of the Missouri River is thinner than the sapwood of walnut that grows south of the Missouri River.
Yeah.
Did this come from the south of the Missouri River? Or?
Actually, it did, yes. But you wouldn't, because of the way you have to trim the wood, it might have started out with more sapwood, but the sapwood is not, the live edge is not perfectly smooth. And so by the time you trim it down, it's still going to come out kind of, I mean, I was lucky to find this piece with this huge sapwood on it. I would say, yeah, this probably came from south of I-70. What he's talking about, I worked as a forester for about 40-something years, and we generally don't see the insides of trees. As a forester, we see the whole tree standing there. We measure trees in height, not in length, generally speaking. But the loggers, when they buy them, that's also how they buy them, generally speaking. They buy standing timber, not fallen logs. And because once the log is out on the ground, then they can see, okay, they can see how thick the sapwood is or whatever. And then they'll deduct from the value of the wood, depending on how much sapwood there is. But if they go in, if you're the property owner and you invite them out to take a look at your timber, and you got walnut out there, you're not going to let them cut the tree down and they determine the value is. No, they got to figure it out from where the tree is standing. So the general rule of thumb is, if it's north of I-70, it has less sapwood. If it's south of I-70, it has more sapwood. That's just a general rule of thumb amongst loggers. Once you get around I-70, then you're right on that edge. But like you move up into Iowa, you got some really nice wood. You move down to Missouri, southern Missouri, you got more sapwood. But if you like sapwood, that's a good thing. But for veneer logs and everything else, they don't like sapwood. They want as much of the brown wood as possible.
Matt?
Yes?
I found a graphic. Someone was asking about the long end and short end. So that's a little graphic to kind of help.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, obviously you can
cut.
find this online. You don't have to remember anything I said. You can find this all online. But you can look at it online and then show up here in the shop and with a piece of wood and try to do it. Yeah. Good luck. I'm guaranteeing you there's plenty of places to make mistakes, and I know I've made enough. I think I've made all of them. I hope I've made all of them, but I definitely have made as many as I can figure out on these boxes. Anything else? I agree with Kathleen on First Friday. It's a golden opportunity to come up here and sell your stuff. It doesn't cost anything to do it. They provide you with the labels, and if you do sell anything, you just got to give up 20% or whatever it is. I guarantee you're not going to find any other booth anywhere else where you can set your stuff up for free. Oh yeah, no tax because we're not for profit. They don't charge us any sales tax. We don't have to charge sales tax. That's the word. We don't charge sales tax.
So Matt, are you going to be teaching a class on making a continuous grain box anytime soon?
If the trick is to find the pieces of wood with which to be able to do it. If there was like an unlimited supply, then that would be easy to do.
I bet the train director could find you some wood.
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, we can maybe do it. Yes, sir?
Matt, I guess I would differ a little bit. I've seen some real nice continuous grain boxes without the sapwood. I mean, just because the grain was so obvious.
Right.
That matching up made a big difference.
Yeah, if you have distinctive grain, that's probably what I should have said. If you have distinctive grain, now obviously sapwood and heartwood is distinctive grain.
Yeah, I would say in general, it makes your work nicer to have the grain flow, whether it's dramatic or even more subtle. It's still good for your woodwork to do that.
Yeah. I agree, Cliff. So that is a possibility, I suppose. I'm teaching a class. We'll see. That's it. Outstanding.
Any other questions? Okay. Matt, we don't have a time in 4 days now, but we get happy to give you your mug shot, and you get that. But thank you so much for.
You got to do the mug shot thing here.
I will do my best.
You got it?
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Great to see everybody. Feel free to hang out a bit. Come up and check out the show and tells. Check out Matt's boxes. Help us clean up. Help us put the chairs away. And, of course, be careful going around and have a great night.
I always wondered how they decided where to put our
That's a good point.
Okay, so I live on the south side.
A special thank you to our guest today, to the Guild's Leadership Committee, and to all of our sponsors. For more information about the Guild, upcoming classes, and events, please visit our website kcwg.org. You can also find us on social media by searching for Kansas City Woodworkers Guild. And remember to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications.